I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video, joined today by a very special returning guest, Kelley.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You a fan favorite over here.
Oh, that's so nice.
They seem to like you.
Oh, well, I enjoy reading their comments sometimes.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being a guest, so thank you so much once again.
So she is one of the few that actually has a YouTube channel, so she's down there reading, commenting, and reacting to your guys' feedback. So at the bottom of this video, feel free to go down there and continue to have a conversation, all right?
Yep.
So listen, Kelley.
Yes.
We were having a quick discussion the other day,
yes.
One at which when we started to have it, I said to myself, this is something that we should put in front of the camera.
Yes, yes.
Because I think it'd be very important to do. Anyway, the conversation was about mental health and wellness.
Yes.
And this is a topic that I wanted to get to on my channel a bunch of different times. Haven't found the opportunity to be able to do that. But what I find is that people that look like us, have, relatively the same skin color as us, typically when that topic of mental health and wellness comes up, they don't know how to have that conversation in a comfortable way for an end result that makes sense.
Yeah.
Agree, disagree?
I agree, yes.
Yeah. So when we first started to have the conversation, I said to myself, let's have this conversation in a way that I think it can push the culture forward, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so when we first started to talk, we were talking through your story.
Yes. So basically, well, let me first say this, is that to go get therapy or go get counseling, it doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong in your life. And for me, there wasn't anything that major catastrophic event that happened in my life for me to want to get counseling. It was just a lot of things that I just needed to, or I wanted rather, to have another perspective and to be able to kind of digest and pick apart some of the things that I learned when I was growing up, some of just, things that happened throughout my, adulthood. And I just wanted to have someone else to talk to, like an unbiased opinion. And so that was really how I began my mental health journey and going to therapy and going to counseling. Was just to kind of just sort through things, to have that other perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it for a second, because I feel like we skipped a couple of steps here. So you went to therapy.
Yes, I went to therapy, yes.
Okay. What were the series of events or what was happening in your life that kind of triggered that event of going to therapy? If you can get into a little bit of that so we can have an understanding.
Yeah, so I grew up in a household, and I think I've mentioned this in other videos, that was a very religious Christian household. And I was taught certain ways to see things and certain ways to live by and things like that. And I began to question not whether I believed per se God was real or not, but more of some of the things that I was learned and I taught, are those things really truthful? Are those things really the right way to deal with people, to think about things, to live your life? And so, and also too, I really wasn't quite sure that some of the things that, my parents taught me, or some of the things that I saw around me that were really accurate. So because of that, I went to a counselor just to start to digest those things and to really start breaking down why I felt a certain way about myself based upon what I was taught growing up. So that's the event that really started it.
When you started to talk, the one I would say classification of a person that immediately came in my head is, the acronym PK?
Uh-huh. Yes, I do.
What's that mean?
A pastor's kid.
I was thinking preacher's kid, but yeah, same
Pastor's
thing.
kid, preacher's kid, yeah.
Yeah, so and I've heard this story kind of time and time again. It's because, I think that there are things that are taught to people that often can constrict them in their understanding and their ideologies that help them understand truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like one of the keys to happiness in our life is understanding truth. And our key to happiness is a multivariate equation. There's a lot of things within it, but I think the closer that you are to truth, and a component of the reason I upload videos is this channel in a more of a discussion format is to find a truth and or a common ground, right? Or an understanding that perhaps the way that I think is not the closest to the truth. Maybe it enables the way that I think, and in the way that I think enables me to live my life in a collision-free zone. But when you start to have empathy for other people's feelings that you deal with in your life, you start to figure out like there's multiple ways to skin this cat. This cat called life, right? So when I think back to the preacher's kids that I knew kind of growing up, what I would often see is they get to a certain age where they started to not be as close to the teachings or the elders that were around them that put the teachings within them, and then they started to break out. And that breakout could had the opportunity to turn into dangerous situations, right? Because they were doing it without experience. Right. So that's what I started to hear when I initially heard the way that you were describing that. So
go ahead.
So I was gonna say like so you had things that were taught to you. You thought that those things were true. It came to a head somehow. And then you sought help.
So I feel like in my life I wasn't seeing the results based upon what certain actions that you should get results for. So for example, like I know like growing up, particularly in my mother's church, they are a big prosperity church, and it's about like sowing, and then therefore you're going to become millionaires, and I just have not seen the fruit of that. So that was something like I questioned, like if this is a true principle, or why aren't there people that are just millionaires based upon what they have been teaching? So that was something I questioned.
As I hear you talk. As I hear you talk. And I think that this is an interesting discussion, because me, like you, and I'm sure a wide subscriber base of folks that are listening to this video, I think within the Black community, there is an extra focus and importance and value put on religious beliefs. I've seen throughout my life good things done with it and bad things done with it. I've also seen people who don't believe in it, good things that they've done in their life, and I've also seen people who don't believe in it who've done very bad things in their life. But one thing that's always like reigned true with me is the concept of whether or not you believe, whether or not you don't believe, or whether or not you're like agnostic into all of that and all the morality and the teachings and what have you. If you took 100 people, a ton of people that believed in whatever they believe in all the religions that believe in, if you took 100 people that are atheists and 100 people that were agnostic, and you've tracked their life over the period that they've been alive, I don't think there'll be any statistical difference in how their lives have ended up, dependent upon their healthiness, their wealth, their financial well-being, and so forth. Whatever the things are that you deem are important for a healthy lifestyle. The amount of people that love them, right? I do think that on the basis of morality, right, on the basis of value, that there's benefit in tying back to a creator and tying back to someone who has deemed as a father and a ruler that deals with an iron fist and must be respected, as a sense to tie you to a sense of purpose. But I do think that there's moral people that are not within that, that don't believe in that, and there's moral people that believe in Judaism or Hinduism, that live amazing lives, fulfilled lives. But the difference is that they grew up coming out of a different womb than you in a
Right.
different portion of the country, so they have different beliefs based on their culture, right?
Yeah.
But religion is getting off topic of the mental
Yeah.
health discussion.
It
You know what I mean?
is. It is. So basically, when I started going to counseling, it was just more like, how do I digest, my truth? And like, it is like tied into my faith, but digest those things that I have questions on and like move forward and like have a healthy, thought process of, I guess one of the things is that, I am kind of steering away from like how my family thinks and how my family and so many people in my circle. And so being kind of like, I don't want to say on an island, but getting away from like the traditions of how I was raised and how I grew up, like it's, how do I navigate that? For one, that was like the thing that I had to do. And then how do I feel about that as well?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we did some things, exercises to help with that. And then also one of the things, the concepts that she introduced to me was just mindfulness. And so part of mindfulness is just being present in the moment and not thinking about like future or the past or constantly like having mental, what I call wars within yourself, but just being present in that space. So what I'm learning to do is to be mindful. And so that's helping me have a mental like clarity, because I'm not continuously like thinking like, oh my gosh, like how are my parents going to feel about this decision, or what does my sister feel about this, or what are my friends, and blah blah blah, but really just like living my personal truth. That's like I really got like learned. That's what I've learned from like counseling.
And listen, and it's so important, like a lot of the things that you'll see it on my channel, you're seeing like a lot of these dating coaches channel, like what underpins a lot of this stuff is in fact mental health. Right? Like even if you think about the concept of red pill, and it's stepping outside of what society has told you, right, to understand what is actually happening around you, right? So there's a degree of truth there. There's a degree of truth with what is it that's right for you.
Yeah.
And what's right for you may not be right for me, right? And what's right for me may not be right to the next man, or the people that are watching this video is not right for everybody. Not everyone needs to live the exact life. So, so getting back to that experience with having a therapist. So I haven't had a therapist. I've actually thought about doing it like relatively recently, getting a therapist, just to have someone to talk to. I think also too, as we see people kind of normalize it, like shout out to Charlamagne the God, who has created an anxiety book.
It was so good. Yeah, his book was really good. I'm sorry, I did cut you off.
So can you also just briefly talk on kind of, because when I think about getting a therapist and thinking towards communicating my life stuff with a random person, can you talk about that initial experience?
I actually was very excited about it because I felt like I could totally be myself, and this person, because she didn't know me, didn't have any kind of biases towards what I was sharing. So I felt like, I didn't have any hesitation of just talking, my truth. And she wasn't, and I did go to a female, and I did also go to an African American. So that was important to me. I wanted to go to a female, and I wanted to go to an African American. And she had no judgment. It was a judgment-free zone, and I could just, like I said, just be myself and just talk my truth and not feel like, oh, I wonder what she's thinking about what I'm saying, or I wonder, how she feels about it. Like, I could just be totally free. So it was not at all like challenging that's just me personally, challenging for me to just share with a random person.
Was there homework?
Yes, there was homework. So there was different, like the mindfulness that I was telling you about, like I had exercises on mindfulness, also different things, like if I was feeling like overwhelmed, like different like breathing techniques or like stretching techniques, and also different affirmations. So she gave me like different affirmations to when different thoughts popped into my head that were overwhelming to me. Like there was different affirmations she would have me to say to kind of like refocus and like re-gauge my energy.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So to re-engage your energy.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that she's giving you from an affirmation perspective is to focus in on, you know, how do you feel about yourself internally, right?
Yes.
So on the concept of internal focus, internal dialogue, you know, speak to how you've dealt with that kind of going forward.
Yeah. So, so much of us, or not so much of us, but what is displayed out there, there's a lot of advertisement and just things on external beauty. So, and I'm not at all like downing like external beauty. Like I enjoy, you know, wearing makeup. I want, you know, my hair to look nice. I want to look nice and all of that. But there's such an emphasis on it. But what I really found is that what is best about me is what's on the inside. So I say this, that my exterior gets you interested, but my interior keeps you coming back. So who I am and what I bring to the table, my personality, my intelligence, all of that is what, you know, keeps someone coming, you know, back to re-engage, because attraction, you can be attracted to someone for a long time. I'm not saying that, but beauty can fade. That's what I'm getting to, is that, you know, you're going to look different, but it's like there's a deeper connection that connects you with people. So with that being said, I started, that became a passion of mine. So last year I started my own t-shirt company that really kind of talks to that point. And so I'm going to stand up so you can see it. On my shirt, it says, let me move my hair. It says, "My greatest beauty lies within." So these shirts that I have, like I said, just really, I wanted to be able to have something that women of all shapes, all sizes, all colors, you know, all backgrounds could wear and feel a level of confidence that, you know, like I was just saying, who you are on the inside is what really counts. And that's where like your true beauty lies. So, yes.
That's what's up. Sounds like you've been on your own personal journey.
I have.
You little Midwest cutie pie.
Lord.
Look at you.
Well, now that I know what it means.
You don't know nothing. I'm joking.
No,
all right, well, cool.
Fine. Yeah.
Well, listen, I think mental health, wellness, you know, we've talked about it just a little bit. Like, you know, I've gone through components and periods of my life where I thought to myself, damn, this adulting shit is pretty tough. Yeah. And I've lived a very like fulfilled and happy life. You know what I'm saying? And so I appreciate you coming in and sharing, you know, a story, especially one that's personal to you in a sense of constriction.
Yes.
Right? Like, and that pressure to fulfill someone else's ideals.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, which is an incredible pressure, especially when it's from the blood that had birthed you.
It was, and it just became to a point where it was just overwhelming to me, and I'm like, I cannot. Well, first of all, I would say that I didn't even realize that I was subconsciously doing that. Like I knew like there was things that I was taught, but I didn't realize that subconsciously I was making certain decisions, because in the back of my head I was like, oh, if I do this, my parents would be disappointed, or if I say this around, you know, because my faith is still very important to me, and I still, you know, go to church and stuff. If I say that around my church friends, they're going to think, oh my God, Kelley is blah, blah, blah. And so it was a lot of pressure, but then, you know, and it's been a journey for me. I'm like, I'm free. Like, this is Kelley Michelle. Like, this is who I am, and, you know, flawed and all. So I've just embraced who I am.
Good.
Yay!
There you go, Kelley Michelle. Fan favorite.
Aw.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate you coming through and then sharing your truth here today. I think that, you know, talking about mental health, especially folks that look like us, can perhaps be an arduous task.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you being able to do that.
Yeah. Can I tell him where you can buy my t-shirt?
Go ahead, tell him, Kelley.
Okay.
Tell him, Kelley Michelle. Go tell him.
And I'm sure he'll put it in the comments as well. So right now, my t-shirts are on Etsy. So if you do www.etsy.com and you keyword search My Inside Beauty, you will be able to get my shirt. So my shirt is available in 4 different colors, 2 different designs, and all different sizes. So
is it only women?
yes.
You know it's not. It's like 90%, 95% men that watch this channel.
Well, you men can buy it for your girlfriend.
They don't got girlfriends. They savages. What you mean? It's the wrong target audience.
Well, we're just gonna.
You gotta make a men's version. Wait a minute. What's it say on here?
My greatest beauty lies within.
Oh, I don't want a shirt that says that. How about you got for dudes? You gotta do some shit like.
What do you want to say?
Stone Cold Killer.
Stone Cold Killer.
You gotta like do some shit like that. Like you gonna have some beauty lies within shit.
Well,
it's the wrong target audience. This is savages and hellions on that watch this shit.
Well, maybe the hellions that are on here might give it just a thought. I still recommend these shirts for people that don't listen to John. No, I really think it's a great reminder, and that's why I'm passionate about it, and that's why I, asked John or said to him, like, hey, I want to include this in the video because I'm very passionate about this and I think it's very important. And so there could be, even though it's a male audience, there could be some females out there that just need this reminder. So these are for you.
There it is. Kelley Michelle, thank you again for coming through.
Thanks for inviting me.
Questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below.
And also, you can check me out on my YouTube channel, which is Let's Talk About It with Kelley Michelle.
Well, you're going to be in the comments. They'll click right on your photo when you're down there commenting, okay? Yes. I'll put it in the description, too.
Yes, I just wanted to shout that out for all of you.
All right. We got other videos to record. Let's get to it. All right? You staying?
Yes.
You're damn right you're staying.
Okay.
Mediocretutorialsandreviews@gmail.com for video requests, all right?